Welcome back to Character Conversions, where I try to bring fictional characters to life in D&D. Today, by popular request, we build the first and third floor guardian of Nazarick, the Bloody Valkyrie, Shalltear Bloodfallen. For stats, we'll be using the standard array of the player's handbook, divided up as you see here. Our main weapon is a lance, so we're going to have to prioritize some strength. After that, wisdom will be important for multi-classing purposes, which is why we'll be starting out with it higher than our constitution. For race, Shalltear is a vampire, so the closest we can get to that is Damphir. Now, I've been working on a Marcus Corvinus build from Underworld as well. I'm going to steal from that. We'll use the Damphir lineage, but assume that it is being laid over a tiefling with the wing trait. Shalltear is shown to have some bat wings, and I want to maintain that, as it will be very important later. This will give us a +2 to strength for 17 and raise our constitution to 14 with a +1. Our base speed is 35 feet, we gain dark vision up to 60 feet, our deathless nature makes it so we don't need to breathe, we have a natural spider climb ability giving us a climbing speed equal to our walking speed that will improve at 3rd level, making it hands-free. We have a vampiric bite dealing 1d4 piercing damage that uses our constitution modifier for attack and damage rolls. We even have advantage on this bite attack if we are missing half or more of our hit points. Number of times per day equal to our proficiency bonus. When we bite a living creature, we can choose to regain HP equal to the damage of the bite, or gain a bonus on our next attack roll or ability check equal to the damage of the bite. As mentioned earlier, we maintain our wing trait, so we have a fly speed of 30 feet. Finally, because we started with Tiefling, we will speak Common and Infernal. For background, I was really unsure what to go with for Shalltear, but I decided on Haunted. This will give us proficiency with Arcana and Religion for skills. We learn 2 languages, one of which must be exotic. Let's grab Celestial and Undercommon. And for our feature, we have Heart of Darkness. It will make people a bit more wary of us and hint at the dark nature inside. For class, we'll start out in Barbarian. This gives us a d12 hit die, proficiency with light and medium armor, as well as shields, simple and martial weapons. For saves, we have Strength and Constitution, and for skills, we will choose Athletics and Intimidation. First level Barbarians can rage twice per long rest. This gives us a +2 to our damage, advantage on strength checks and strength saves, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. This is our best representation of Shalltear's Bloody Frenzy form. Next, we gain Unarmored Defense, allowing us to calculate our AC as 10 plus our Dexterity modifier plus our Constitution modifier. At 2nd level, we'll continue in Barbarian to gain Danger Sense, which gives us advantage on saving throws against effects we can see, such as traps and spells, so long as we are not blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. Next, we gain Reckless Attack, allowing us to have advantage on all melee attacks we make on our turn using Strength, but all attacks against us will have advantage until the beginning of our next turn. Lances are very difficult to build for, but this will help make up for the weakness if someone gets within 5 feet and we start suffering disadvantage. At 3rd level, we choose our Primal Path. Because we want a Rage to represent Shalltear losing herself to her Blood Fury, we'll go with Path of the Berserker. This grants us Frenzy and the ability to rage 3 times per long rest. Frenzy allows us to enter a frenzy during our rage, allowing us to use our bonus action to make an additional attack during our rage, but when the rage ends, we suffer a level of exhaustion. 4th level is our first ability score improvement. We'll trade this for the Piercer feat, raising our strength to an 18, and once per turn when we hit a creature with an attack that uses piercing damage, we can re-roll and take the new result. In addition, when we score a critical hit with a piercing weapon, we get to roll 1 additional die. At 5th level, Barbarian grants us extra attack and fast movement. Now when we take the attack action, we can make 2 attacks instead of 1, and so long as we aren't wearing heavy armor, our speed is increased by 10 feet. At 6th level, now that we have a good basis for Shalltear's melee combat ability, let's start developing our holy magic. We multi-class into Cleric, specifically a Cleric of Trickery. This grants us the Blessing of the Trickster, 3 cantrips, and 1st level spells. Blessing of the Trickster allows us to grant a creature advantage on stealth checks for 1 hour as a bonus action. For cantrips, let's pick up Sacred Flame to represent her Brilliant Radiance spell, as well as Word of Radiance and Spare the Dying. Spare the Dying is more because while she can lose herself to a Blood Fury, she still is conscious of what Lord Ainz wants, and I could see this representing her keeping someone alive to be questioned by him. Our Trickery Domain spells include Charm Person and Disguise Self. Charm Person is a good representation of Shalltear's vampiric charm ability, and Disguise Self is one of the few ways I can think of to make a suit of blood red armor look like a dress. 7th level and our 2nd level in Cleric, we gain Channel Divinity, Invoke Duplicity. We have about 4 good options to get Shalltear's Inheriar, Echo Knight, Invoke Duplicity, Project Image, or some kind of summon spell reflavored. Summon Celestial is a 5th level spell, so this is a decent stand-in for now. Invoke Duplicity allows us to create an illusion of ourselves for 1 minute or until we lose concentration. It has to remain within 120 feet of us, and we can use our bonus action to move it 30 feet. We can cast spells through it. We also give ourselves advantage on attack rolls against a creature we are both within 5 feet of. Another useful ability for negating the 5-foot disadvantage of the lance. 3rd level clerics gain access to 2nd level spells. Our Trickery Domain gives us Mirror Image and Pass Without a Trace. I don't know about you, but I don't want a raging vampire in my face with Mirror Image on them. 9th level and our 4th level in Cleric is our next ability score improvement. Let's go ahead and cap our strength off at 20. We also gain additional cantrip this level, of which we will grab Thaumaturgy. 5th level clerics gain Destroy Undead and 3rd level spells. I can't see Shalltear using Destroy Undead, but it's good to know we have the option to obliterate any undead with only half CR with Turn Undead. An important 3rd level spell this level is Animate Dead to create zombies. Not a perfect representation of creating vampire thralls, but it's something. As a 6th level cleric, the Trickery Domain gives us Cloak of Shadows, as well as an additional use of Channel Divinity. Cloak of Shadows allows us to become invisible as an action until the end of our next turn, unless we attack or cast a spell. Shalltear did have access to an invisibility spell, so this is perfect. 7th level clerics gain the 4th level spells. Spells like Death Ward to survive near death like Time Reverse, Guardian of Faith for another Inheriar perhaps, and Stone Shape for Wall of Stone. All are good choices for Shalltear. Our domain spells include Dimension Door and Polymorph. While Polymorph isn't necessarily on theme, Dimension Door is a good stand-in for her Greater Teleport spell. 13th level and our 8th level in Cleric means we gain our next ability score improvement, which we will drop into our Constitution, raising it to a 16. Our Destroy Undead ability now affects up to CR1, and we gain Divine Strike. Now when we hit with a weapon attack, we can choose to deal an additional 1d8 poison damage with that hit. I don't believe Shalltear used poison, but more damage is always nice. As a 9th level cleric, we gain 5th level spells. Our domain spells include Blink and Dispel Magic. We also now have access to spells like Flame Strike and Summon Celestial. Shalltear had access to Fire Magic to deal with undead as well, and Summon Celestial to me is probably going to be our strongest representation of Inheriar, as it is actually capable of fighting on its own while we perhaps heal ourselves. 10th level clerics gain Divine Intervention and a new cantrip. For the cantrip, we'll just grab Resistance. There aren't a whole lot of decent picks for Shalltear sadly, but this does help represent her vampire hardiness. Divine Intervention is actually something I don't think we have any parallels to in Overlord, but it is still nice to know we have our cleric level % chance of our deity doing something amazing to help us in battle. 16th level and 11th level in Cleric means our Destroy Undead increases to CR2, and we gain access to 6th level spells. This means we now have access to the spell Create Undead. A ghoul is a much better choice to represent our vampire thralls. As a 12th level cleric, we gain our final ability score improvement. Let's drop this into our Constitution, raising it to an 18. 18th level and 13th level in cleric means we gain 7th level spells. Important choice here is Regenerate, as Shalltear literally casts this spell. 19th level, our Destroy Undead can now affect enemies with a CR of 3 or lower. And finally, at 20th level, the capstone of our build is access to 8th level spells. I honestly don't really think any of these seem like something Shalltear uses, so the 8th level spell slot is likely used for upcasting more than anything. End result, and there's a lot to compile here, so bear with me. This sees us with an average of 185 hit points. Now our armor should be full plate, and if there were a way to summon armor onto yourself, like in 3.5's Ring of Arming, that is what I would use. But because we can't rage in heavy armor, we likely want half plate with a glamour enchantment on it. This would make it so that we have an AC of 16, and while not in battle, we can make it appear like our normal guard. And when battle starts, we can either remain in a dress or switch to looking like the Bloody Valkyrie. Luckily, we have Blessing of the Trickster to use on ourselves and negate the disadvantage we might suffer to stealth while wearing armor. We use our rage to represent Shalltear's monstrous form, and our spells when we want to fight more tactically. Combat-wise, a lance is actually very difficult to build around if you aren't going to be mounted. For some reason, the flail has an unearthed Arcana feat, but the lance does not. So strategy-wise, you want to manage to keep 5 feet between you and your opponent to avoid suffering disadvantage on attacks. The easiest way to do this is to use your fly speed to stay 10 feet in the air above your opponent. Without flight, they can't close the distance. We don't care if they use ranged attacks, as the goal isn't to avoid attacks, it's to avoid disadvantage on our own attacks. If you're in closed space and you can't fly, you at least have Reckless Attack to fall back on and at least get normal attack rolls. With a lance, we can deal an average of 11 damage a hit. Extra attack bumps this to an average of 23 a round, raging gives us an additional attack each round and pumps the average to 40. The best representation of the Pipette Lance is to get a lance with a life-stealing enchantment on it, but it only activates on critical hits, not every attack. But with Reckless Attack and 2 to 3 attacks around, we have decent odds of getting that critical hit, so the healing could be happening more often than you think. Finally, our Holy Magic will be a nice surprise for anyone not expecting a vampire to cast spells like Regenerate and Cure Wounds on ourselves, or hit them at range with radiant damage. Ultimately, we are a tank of a character. Not only can we self-heal, but also half any damage we take while we are raging. The trick will be deciding when to use our magic and when to go all out in melee and rage. Unlike the Escanor build, we have a decent pool of spell slots to draw from, so the decision to switch between magic and melee is more crucial to our build. So long as we aren't fighting someone who can outthink us like Lord Ainz, we should be alright. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment your opinions or suggestions for new builds. I hope all your 20s are natural, and I'll see you next time.